Hi, my name is Stefany Cruz. I'm a PhD candidate at Northwestern University, and I am here to present EquityWare, co-designing wearables with and for low-income communities in the U.S. Before I begin, I will give a brief overview of what I will be covering in this talk. We began our study to understand how members of low-income communities perceive the potential benefits and barriers to using wearable devices. We performed semi-structured interviews with participants from low-income communities in the U.S. and found that safety was a critical issue amongst participants. The main safety concerns were gang and gender-based violence and a lack of infrastructure and services. We engaged in co-design using storyboards to expand on possible future wearable devices and requirements based on participants' needs, comfort, and goals. Lastly, we set an EquityWare research agenda and provide guidelines for the HCI community to engage, collaborate, and contribute in the space. Wearables have improved the lives of many by allowing individuals to monitor their health, track behaviors, and stay connected. Unfortunately, both price and a lack of consideration of the needs of low-income communities have made wearables inaccessible and unusable for communities that would benefit the most from these devices. To address this gap, we engaged in co-design and performed an empirical study. Our research questions were to understand how low-SES communities perceive wearable devices and understand the barriers and facilitators for equity, inclusivity, and utility in the design of wearables for minority low-SES individuals living in the United States. For our methods, we performed an exploratory study. While our initial research questions were not focused on safety, it did present a very important theme amongst participants. Initial round of interviews revealed a strong focus on safety concerns. This informed a second round of data collection, focusing on participants' perspectives, reactions, and recommendations for the design of safety-based wearable devices. In the second phase of the study, we engaged in a co-design and elicitation activity using storyboards. Storyboards were used because participants needed more familiarity in the preliminary investigation to understand how wearables function. The storyboards allowed us to introduce the concept of safety wearables, elicit what participants think safety wearables could or should do, suggest feedback on current features found in safety-related wearable devices, and explore potential future applications and/or comfort with the technology. 19 adults between the ages of 18 and 54 participated in our study. All participants identified as Hispanic and/or Latinx. All participants were low-income and live in low-SES communities in 2 metropolitan cities. This study was conducted from December 2021 to March 2022 amidst the rise of the COVID-19 Omicron variant. All interviews were conducted in English over a Zoom video call. Every participant discussed safety issues within their community, recalling many instances where crime and violence affected their lives. The main safety concerns were gang and gender-based violence and a lack of infrastructure and services. Gender-based violence was often brought up by participants due to its tendency to harmfully affect women's lives. The following is a quote from a participant. "I used to come home from work at 4 p.m., and a guy on a bike would be following me. It's like we really can't do anything, especially as girls. We really can't go out in the day or the night. We live in fear forever." Currently, there are no existing tools that address the safety concerns of community members, nor do the design and features of current wearables meet their needs. 2 specific examples are power availability and flashiness. Batteries are hard to maintain because they always need to be recharged. A safety wearable device would make itself useless if it had poor battery life. Therefore, wearable devices need a fundamental rethinking of the way they are currently built and can be recharged. Similarly, participants mentioned that flashy wearable devices in a high-crime area can put the wearer at risk. Here is an example of a participant's quote. "I don't like something very flashy, expensive that I'm going to get jumped with. We can't be really scientific when we're living our lives. In the streets, we gotta be ready, we gotta be aware." Designers of wearable devices therefore must consider how they are made. A device that is too flashy can easily make a person a target for getting robbed in a high-crime neighborhood. Though participants identified critical barriers that would prevent them from obtaining a wearable device, there were also features that participants viewed as important. The most common acceptable features are audio alarms, spatial sensing, flashlights, microphones, and cameras. In this talk, I will only elaborate on the spatial sensing feature. Please see our paper for further details. Spatial sensing was a feature participants in the first phase of the study came up with. It also inspired the devices presented in our storyboards. This feature aims to increase the wearer's sense of spatial surroundings to detect if someone is behind them and possibly catch a perpetrator off guard if the wearer is walking home alone and at night.
This is just one example. Participants use their lived experience to imagine features they want to see in a wearable device. Based on our findings, we introduced EquityWare as a research agenda focused on co-designing inclusive wearable technologies with and for marginalized groups in response to the harmful effects of modern wearables on these individuals. We see EquityWare spanning across 3 levels: hardware, software, and research and education. As researchers, we must make sure that the technology we develop is equitable and does not perpetuate discrimination towards people of color. Equitable design will require a fundamental rethinking of how wearables are developed. One solution we propose is using affordable, low-power hardware technology that can provide discrete and on-body computation for long periods of time without the need to recharge, rather than focusing on building expensive, high-performance wearable devices. We encourage researchers to develop software intervention tools in parallel with hardware that allow new capabilities for wearables that require minimal interface interaction. For instance, machine learning models and algorithms for motion activity sensing can be combined with sensors that measure a user's predetermined distinctive gesture that signals the user's distress and notifies people with whom they share their location. Please see our paper for further examples. We acknowledge that our work is performed through a U.S.-centric perspective. However, we recognize the international need for EquityWare, especially given the HCI4D and ICT4D work around safety technologies targeted to increase women's safety that parallels our findings. We see opportunities to consider how wearable technology needs may be different for low-income communities in other countries and cultures. To summarize, there has been a lack of HCI research within low-SES communities, and there is a need for research that addresses the structural safety risks that these communities face. We propose EquityWare as a research agenda aimed at addressing these needs for future wearable devices at the hardware level, the software level, and research and education. Thank you for attending my talk, and I am happy to take any questions.